69% of Americans disapprove of the handling of this conflict. The clock is ticking for President Trump to get out of this war before voters head to the polls. It's making a lot of Republicans nervous. It's already, as we know, unpopular.
The truth is there's not much good news for Republicans. Underwater on the economy, as you showed, underwater on affordability. Those two issues are front and center for sure. Everywhere you look, Republicans are down. He promised to keep us out of endless wars or unsatisfactory wars. And now he's in one, and it's not at all clear how it's going to end. So he's vulnerable on this point. And I was in political terms, he does need to get this over with. But what he may need is time, and he doesn't have a lot of time.
It appears Fox is parting ways with the president over his failing war in Iran, and this is bound to go over well, especially considering new reports that the president's already throwing tantrum upon tantrum in the Oval Office over said failure. It's been a tough week for the president. First, NBC reported that he's basically become increasingly exasperated with his senior advisors as the conflict approaches its 6th month without a clear victory, or even a durable ceasefire, or even a unified definition of what the United States is actually attempting to accomplish over there.
NBC News reports Trump has become increasingly exasperated by the length of the conflict and Iran's refusal to reach a deal. According to the report, Trump recently erupted at top national security officials over his frustrations, with one official saying there is no unity within the Trump administration on Iran. The White House denies the president lost his temper, but says he remains committed to punishing Iran until its attacks stop.
And know this.
And they've continued to violate a tentative ceasefire agreement as well, and we've been retaliating. And each time they do it, we strike back a little harder on that. The second thing we really want to achieve through this diplomatic phase is certainly some kind of agreement over their nuclear enterprise. And when you look back on it, do you think we're close to getting a deal on the Straits of Hormuz? Number one. Are we getting close to a deal on a nuclear enterprise? I don't think so. I think the evidence is pretty clear.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
According to NBC, Trump officials are reportedly arguing within themselves over whether the priority should be destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities, degrading its missile forces, reopening and securing the Strait of Hormuz, protecting American bases, or punishing Iran for attacks on US troops. That's not exactly one cohesive strategy, right? Have other military leaders who are also warning about depleted air defense munitions, competing global demands, and the danger that another escalation will simply provoke more Iranian attacks without producing a political settlement. Despite Donald Trump repeatedly claiming that the conflict is nearing its conclusion, and we're almost, 6 months later, US forces are still launching heavy strikes, Iran are still firing missiles back at American positions, and the conflict is spreading through additional countries and maritime routes.
As diplomatic efforts appear to ramp up between the US and Iran, Tehran is now embroiled in another conflict. In a stunning development, Iran claims Ukraine attacked one of its vessels in the Caspian Sea over the weekend. Now, Ukraine's president says drones targeted several ships which were transporting military cargo from Iran to Russia. That's the story out of Ukraine. Iran says at least one person was killed and 3 injured and is now threatening Ukraine. This all comes as US military operations against Iran do appear to be on hold. But despite the US signaling new diplomatic efforts, Tehran insists Washington will not determine the timing of this war.
Well, new reports yesterday suggest that Iran is reportedly building parts of its air defense with Chinese equipment. Ukraine has also alleged that Russia is assisting Tehran with surveillance of American bases. This despite the fact that Trump claimed Russia and China would not intervene and remain outside the war. But instead, the battlefield appears to be internationalizing around him and making him look foolish, or even more foolish.
President Xi told you that China would not give or sell Iran any weapons. And there's a new report that Iran's about to get 400 rocket launchers from China going through Pakistan to Iran.
Well, that would be surprising. I mean, things like that happen, but that would be surprising. He told me very strongly he wouldn't partake, and he knows I'd be quite disappointed.
President Zelensky says that Russia is giving Iran satellite imagery of U.S. bases in the Gulf to help them target. What can you do about that?
Well, we'll find out if that's true. I'll ask Putin about it. We'll find out. There isn't that much impact because we'll knock the hell out of it, what do you think? If that's the case, look, they gave Venezuela a lot of equipment. Venezuela had all Russian equipment. How did that work out? Not too good. So they may be giving, but if they are, it hasn't worked out because they have no army, they have no air force, they have no navy, they have no nothing. So it hasn't worked out well. I don't think they've been doing it. Certainly not at a high level. And if they have, it has been very unimpactful.
And it doesn't help that the American public are increasingly recognizing that this whole thing has been a failure. A new AP poll found that approximately 2/3 of Americans believe the war has not been worth fighting. Only 28% approve of Trump's handling of Iran, down from 34% the previous month. Even Republican approval has fallen, particularly outside the most committed MAGA faction.
A new poll out this morning shows about 2/3 of the American people say the war has not been worthwhile, and that includes nearly 4 in 10 Republicans.
Poll approval rating now stands at just 34%, and that matches his career low following the January 6th insurrection.
People are telling me, why don't we give peace one more chance? So I guess they're back to talks. And now here's what the talks are about. A toll is not a toll. A toll can be a service fee, like the Strait of Malacca. They want to make that the Strait of Hormuz. So Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, they do like an environmental service fee for a few boats. It's not like a blanket toll, but at least it would make the Iranians save face. Now, while we talk, we're still bringing back a lot of firepower, and some special operators are now in theater. So that'll be interesting. We had Kellogg on the other day, and he said, you know what happens, Jesse, when you play sports? You let a team hang around a little too long, and then something happens. Ball bounces differently. Maybe someone gets hurt. The next thing you know, you're like, whoa. That's why he thinks you got to finish people off, and you got to finish them off quickly. Luckily, we got polling that says Republicans are trusted more on Iran than Democrats. And oil's now come from $100 to $87 a barrel, which is great. But there's still a lot of work to do.
You're going to buy the dip with the oil, Jess?
I don't know. I'm sure Trump will post in a few minutes what we're supposed to do to get that market manipulation all geared up for another day. So I guess I'll follow whatever he and his kids and Jared Kushner are investing in. That fancy footwork that Jesse just did about an environmental toll being okay because it lets the Iranians save face is insane. That's basically just saying Iran will continue to control the Strait of Hormuz in perpetuity. And maybe we should have thought about that before we started this thing. If it was part of the wargaming, which everyone from the defense secretary to General Kane has said that it was, how did you not expect this to happen? It's like you gave them the best toy ever and you think they're just going to give it back to you. That is not how toddlers behave. And Jesse should know that.
Damn! Public's priorities are increasingly at odds with what Trump views as a priority. Roughly 7 in 10 Americans say that negotiating a ceasefire is important, while about 72% say keeping gasoline prices low is highly important.
This war has been it's been taxing on everyone. And I'm on a fixed income. And so it's other ones that are on fixed income are really feeling it.
You could talk directly to the president. We know he likes to watch TV. What would you tell him about this war?
President Trump, you shouldn't have got us in this war and was going to end it fast, soon. And now you're starting all over again.
Has the war helped your life at all?
No. For one thing, it causes me angst, makes me angry. And as I said, I'm very disillusioned. My entire family is disillusioned. And we are and were Trump supporters, but this is, to me, he's drawn a line in the sand. And that's how I feel. That's how we all feel.
But the president obviously doesn't seem to think so. And inevitably, he will argue that any opponents of his war just want Iran to acquire nuclear weapons. But when Fox News talking heads are the ones saying, what has this president shown the American people to have them believe that we're any closer to an agreement than when Donald Trump tore up Obama's agreement, you know he's losing the room.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.